Hello, everyone. Welcome. Read Through the Word, friends. Today is August 2nd. Summer just continues to roll on by, and I hope you're doing really well. Today we are in the book of Habakkuk and Zephaniah. So moving through, again, the prophets. And things can look kind of bleak in some of these prophecies. But I love the honesty of Habakkuk that we're going to talk about today. And that was kind of encouraging to me. And hope it's encouraging to you too. So Habakkuk is a kind of a dialogue basically between this prophet and God. And he's crying out to God about the idolatry and injustice that he saw around him in the people of Judah. And I love the honesty of Habakkuk, but here's what I also love. He complained. To some of our ears, that sounds like, oh, we're not supposed to complain. Oh, we got to be careful about that word. I feel like sometimes there has been teaching around complaining that I feel like isn't always warranted. You know, the Bible is full of people crying out to God in complaint. The Psalms, hello, as we've read through the Psalms. So many times that David cried out to God with complaint, like, why are you letting this happen? How long do I have to live in this sorrow? Jesus, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I definitely know that there is a difference in the way that we complain, obviously. But a lot of times what I notice in those who, Job even make a complaint to God. So Job, David, Jesus, you think about these people. And their complaint seems to be one of leaning in. Like God, something's real wrong here. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. But I'm still leaning into you, God, because I'm looking for an answer, not because I'm being demanding, but because you're God. And so I think it's important for us to know God is not offended and he's not mad by our honest thoughts. And we see that in Habakkuk. Right away in chapter 1, how long, O Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save. Why do you make me look at injustice, and why do you tolerate wrong? That is a strong complaint. However, the Lord answered. He totally answered. He totally responded to Habakkuk. And he didn't respond in, chastisement or condemnation. He responded with, he talked about, look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told. So he goes on to tell him things that are going to happen and basically answers Habakkuk's complaint. And then Habakkuk has more. He says, O Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, we will not die. You've appointed them to execute judgment, And then he says, why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? And how many times have we said that same complaint to God? Why are the righteous getting swallowed up by those who are treacherous? And then he says, I will stand at my watch at the end, at the beginning of chapter 2. I'll stand at my watch. I'll station myself on the ramparts. I'll look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint. Like, I am not going to rest until I have an answer. That sounds pretty bold, doesn't it? But I think Habakkuk's boldness is in the context of his love for God and his honor for God. And he's saying, God, I know that you must be who you say you are. I mean, if he didn't believe that, would he be asking him these questions? Maybe he'd be like, forget it. I'm done. I'm done with even talking to God, but he's not. And so sometimes our complaints, our honesty to God are the way we keep the conversation going when we don't know what else to say. When we're at such a loss, the only thing that could come out is, God, why? What is going on? This feels so unfair. And sometimes that's the only way to keep the conversation going in an honest way that actually invites our hearts to join with God. And so that God can sit with us, empathize with us, and sometimes answer us. And not only does the Lord reply again, he says, write it down. The Lord's not condemning Habakkuk. He's giving him a response, and he's saying, you write this down, make it plain. What a gracious God. How gracious that in the midst of Habakkuk's questions and sufferings and wonderings, God's like, I'll still answer you. And it might not be the answer Habakkuk totally wanted to hear, but the point is the relationship showed that God cared and God answered Habakkuk. We head to chapter 3 and to our key verse today, which comes from chapter 3, verses 16 through 19. Those are our key verses. Habakkuk's had this dialogue with God, and now he's expressing his thoughts about these things. And in the midst of this coming calamity that God is telling him about, Habakkuk still had a vision of hope and comfort. And I want to read Habakkuk 3, 16 through 19. I heard and my heart pounded. My lips quivered at the sound. Decay crept into my bones and my legs trembled. Yet I will wait patiently for the day of calamity to come on the nation invading us. Though the fig tree does not bud, and though there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. Those are very special verses for me. I was going through a really scary time. And I remember being up at night, not able to sleep, up most of the night. And I remember crying out to God, crying, scared, angry. And goodness, I was honest with God. And I didn't feel his condemnation. I felt him come near. And I was laying in bed. I just reached over and I just grabbed my Bible and I just kind of put it open and just, sat up and looked down. Now, this does not always happen, right? We don't just open the Bible and, oh, that's exactly, obviously everything in the Bible has meaning, but that's not necessarily always true that we just open the Bible and wow, that's, whatever. But for me in that moment, I just through my tears and even kind of shaking, and I just opened the Bible and I looked down and I read a verse I was not familiar with at all. I did not remember. I was not doing the chronological Bible yet. So, did different studies in the Bible. I can't say I ever did much with Habakkuk. But I looked down through my tears and I looked down and I saw these exact verses. I looked down and I saw, "The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights." And I had to navigate some really difficult stuff. And I had this picture of God navigating me through it. There is a great little YouTube video clip. I'm going to put it in the notes, and I want you to watch it. It's a clip from the BBC Planet Earth documentary series. It's just a short 1-minute clip, I believe. And it's this video of this mountain goat trying to escape a predator. I think it's a fox. And you could tell I don't know where where the video was taken, but as you're looking at it, it definitely is not in America, so I don't know if it's the Middle East or somewhere similar, but you can tell these are like rugged, rocky mountains, rugged, a rugged place. And I saw this, and this goat is flying through this side of the mountain. It's like almost a sheer slope in some places, and there's rocks and cliffs, and this goat is flying through the side of this mountain. And the fox doesn't get him, all right? Maybe it's a spoiler. I just gave you the spoiler. But I'm watching him, and I'm going, no way is this little, and it's a smaller goat, no way is this little goat going to survive this. But he does. And I thought, what a beautiful picture. The hind, some translations say the hind feet, the hind feet of a deer, or you think of like a goat or a small deer, something running through this treacherous place. And that was the perfect picture from God to say, I am helping you navigate this. Though there's, no grapes on the vines, olive crop has failed, no sheep in the pen, no cattle in the stall, no signs that anything is going right here. No signs of provision, no signs of safety. But you've made my feet like the feet of a deer, and you're navigating my every step in this treacherous place. You're navigating every scary step I have to take. You're planting my feet in ways that I could not have imagined how it would have worked out. I could not have pictured it. And yet there I was, navigating, this difficult place in life. And throughout the following years, God has at various times continued to bring this verse up at different times, exactly when I need it. When there's no sign of life, when there's no sign of a possibility, no sign of a pathway, God makes our feet like the feet of a deer and enables us to go on the heights, to navigate the tough stuff, to navigate the scary things, to be bold when we're really scared, to be strong when we're super weak, to find our strength in God's presence and in God's navigation and in God's provision. So I encourage you to check out that video. Just remember, friend, God is navigating you through whatever is in front of you. Thanks for joining me here today, and we'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.